One of the deep-rooted things which influenced Indian society is this obsession with God, which came from the Abrahamic religions. In those conversations, you won't find God coming into the conversation at all. In those regions, spiritual seeking, spiritual process was not happening collectively. And the people around him probably didn't understand what happened. And when people don't understand what happened, there are only two options. Either he will be killed or he will become
God's messenger.
whatever.
Okay.
We don't know the origin of the messengers and the prophets who came to our region. Does Muhammad have ancestors from India? Who are his parents and grandparents, and where they were living, where they were coming from? Nothing is mentioned.
Where do we actually differ from Abrahamic religions? Like, do we have a necessary, like, a clear line separating each religions, or can we call our systems religions?
Today, however, the word religion is being used. It has already deteriorated. So I will use the word religion in that sense, the deteriorated sense. How India is today, how Indians are today, and how the mindset is, how the social fabric is. It is already influenced by the colonizers and by the Islamic invasions. It's already influenced. Even if they think they are fighting against the colonial mindset, they are fighting against it using the colonial mindset only. They won't realize it. One of the deep-rooted things which influenced Indian society is this obsession with God, which came from the Abrahamic religions. I don't mean it didn't exist in India. It existed. But if you see the ancient texts, Mahabharata, for example, and if you see the conversations there, or even in Buddha's time, if you see the conversations, they're all spiritual conversations. They're trying to see what more is there to life. In those conversations, you won't find God coming into the conversation at all. So if you see those conversations, the spiritual conversations, the essential focus will be on this. Is there something more to me than this physicality? That is what they were mainly inquiring. There are some schools, some, as I was saying, devotees, some kind of temperaments, who will start approaching that unknown entity. They will personify it and they will cry for it. They will cry for it. They will not use it in assertive statements. They will not say, God will do this, they will never make it intellectual. They will only sing and they will only intensify their longing. That's a different matter. The main concern was, there is something more to life. I am restless, I am dissatisfied, discontent. Now how can I enhance my experience of life? And only some methods approached it devotionally, and they did it devotionally. They intensified the longing devotionally and went in the devotional path. Some others did not even use the word God. They just called it jnana, bodhi. They used neutral words and they went by that. So if they are devotees, they will use that language. But devotional sect, whatever they are uttering, if you take their words, make it a siddhanta and ideology, it will become a belief system and it will become religious and it will become God and all that. See, can you teach, you for the moment you forget spiritually, art, poetry? Can poetry be taught? I'm not even talking of writing poetry. Even to appreciate art, appreciate poetry, whatever, or even art, can somebody be taught to appreciate art? The moment there is some art, for example, somebody will see a lot of profundity in it. Now, if I come and ask you what profundity is there, and if you go on explaining to me, it will immediately become profane. For you, that art looks magnanimous, something profound to you. The moment you start explaining to me, it will start looking silly.
Okay.
And I may not even get what you're saying. So devotional approach is something that cannot be unlike inquiry. Inquiry, at least you can be made to inquire. I can use logical brain and take you logically reasoning. But the moment you go to devotional sects, it cannot be transmitted through words. But if it is transmitted like that, see, whoever is around the devotees will get inspired and it may rub off something, some devotion upon them. If we read all these stories of, I used to watch a lot of these devotee movies. Kankadasa, Purandaradasa and all. So if you watch their movies, you will see if somebody is like that, automatically people around them will get inspired. They are not teaching them, but they will get inspired. But the moment such a person is not there, and only some literature is there, and I am trying to hold on to devotional school, now devotion won't happen. It will become an ideology, then it will become a belief system. Then you can call it religion. See, Swami Vivekananda made a statement about devotion, because his guru was primarily path of devotion. He said devotion is the most natural way to reach the divine. But in its lower forms, it degrades into heinous fanaticism. So the moment devotion becomes a belief system, it's gone. It's a dead thing. They are no more seeking. In fact, they are only waiting to die. Their prize, their ultimate prize, is after death. So they are already dead. They are simply living their life and they're just waiting for their prize after death. It will degrade into that. Now, coming to Abrahamic religions, I think I don't have a solid proof for this. What might have happened is that in India, in every town, every village, there used to be some yogi. Every town used to be identified with such people. There will be some saint there, some sage, some yogi, somebody. So there was an overall awareness in the culture that if something happens, something like that, spiritual happens to a person, it is not some special happening. It has been happening to many people. It's happening already. Even now it's happening to many people. And he's one of them. Even if they look at that person as the ultimate, even if they respect him, surrender to him, still there is an overall understanding in them that he is not some unique, special personality, the only one. They don't talk like that. But if such people are very, very rare, I am saying this is probably what happened with religions.
Okay.
In those regions, spiritual seeking, spiritual process was not happening collectively. So if it happened with somebody was saturated and he did inquiry or devotion, whatever he did, he came to some realization. It was a kind of isolated happening, and the people around him probably didn't understand what happened. And when people don't understand what happened, there are only two options, two things. Either he will be killed, he will look like mad or totally unfit, he will be killed, or he will become God's messenger.
God's messenger.
Whatever.
Okay.
He himself might not have said that. He might not have said, I am the only one and all that. But even then, in his lifetime, it may work. But after he's dead, now only his teachings are there. And the people don't have an understanding collectively. So they will think this is the person. This is the only person and this is the only way, this is the only religion. What he said is the only word. It will become religion.
Okay.
And the moment book becomes authoritative, so many things will follow. It will become a way to manipulate people. With book words, you can very easily manipulate people. Whenever a book becomes authoritative, whenever there is no living process, no living school, and only books and words remain, it can very, very easily increase people's unconsciousness.
Okay.
And they can use it against each other. It's very easy. Because it's God's words, now I will use it against you. I will use it for my convenience. So whether Abrahamic religions were originally so or not, I don't know. This is my guess that it is possible that they were yogis, but because they were completely disconnected from the atmosphere around them, culture didn't understand what's happening. In their generation, it was fine. Some people understood and maybe it helped them, transformed them. But after they were dead, I think it led to much more problems. That's why I have a section which says, none better than one, question mark.
Okay.
If there are no yogis at all, it is a problem. There is nobody to raise people's awareness. But if it is just one for a long time and for a long big geography, it may lead to a bigger problem.
Okay.
With Christianity, it happened. They used the Bible and they did a lot of things for many centuries.
Yes. Especially the Inquisition in Goa and many such things.
So they used Christianity, somewhat went, and maybe metamorphosis, something happened, and that, Renaissance happened. It came out of the clutches of that dogmatic thing. But this radical Islam which is happening now, it is a product of another set of books.
Okay.
When I was teaching in SVSA, there used to be foreign YIC batches. From all over the world they will come. So in that there are Christians, Muslims, everybody. So I know a student, I know actually many from Egypt and that region, and then one girl from Palestine. And after that I had some conversations with her because I was curious about Islam. With Christianity, at least people are, Americans and Europeans, they themselves are trying to probe into it, and various theories are there. Like they say Jesus came to India and it is only yoga being presented in a different way. So Jesus was also trying to, you can say, devotional path. I don't think he did inquiry. And you can see Jesus teaching some yogic kriyas also in some of the books, Gospel of Peace and all that.
Okay.
So this kind of probing they are doing. The Christian world is probing into their own scriptures and finding out. I think some novels are also written, famous novels.
Yes.
But in the Islam world is a kind of, still it's closed. In the Arabic world, whatever is in Arabic, when it is translated, what is going out is not being regulated, I think. That's what she says. So I had some conversations with her about Islam as to what is happening with Islam and why it is in this present state, religious state. So what she told was very, very different. She told me many things. One of the things she told me that invasions, wars, killing, these words don't exist in Quran at all. And for example, this famous word, Ghazwa, Ghazwa-e-Hind.
Okay.
They use this word, right?
Okay.
You would have heard of this.
Yes.
Ghazwa-e-Hind, which means India is the final thing and India should be converted into Islam or something. And she tells, I didn't ask that question particularly, but in that email she said, Ghazwa is an Arabic word, and like Sanskrit, one word has various meanings. Ghazwa can mean invasion, and it can mean seeking. I read a Kannada translation of Quran. I didn't read the whole book, but I read here and there, and Kannada translation is by some scholar, some great respected scholar, Islamic scholar only. And it was telling all this, whatever is popularly now, that you have to kill whoever is not, and all that. I sent us to a screenshot of it and sent it to her, the same page. And the meaning I didn't tell her what the meaning is written in Kannada. I just asked her what it means, tell me, because Arabic script was there. So she said, this is very, very rhetoric Arabic, it's very complex, even I can't understand. She's Arabic native. And she says she can't understand that much. And she's a well-educated scholar also. She consulted many people and finally she gave, and she said it does not mean killing, it means facing them and talking to them.
Okay.
The killing word meant that you have to talk to them and debate with them and converse with them and then see what their question is and whatever. So what was happening in Muhammad's time, I mean, this is her narrative. I'm not saying this is so. So she said it's all being politicized. They're being used. And she told many things about Muhammad. So this is a few things she said. Yesterday I was talking with my father about yoga and shared one of your videos with him. He said to me that India is not a country, it is a culture and continent that have been influencing the world with language, culture and spirituality for thousands of years before Muhammad and other messengers who came to our region in the Middle East. We don't know the origin of the messengers and the prophets who came to our region. If business with India was the main business in the Gulf countries in those times, even Muhammad's wife was a businesswoman who had business with India. So they had their business in the Gulf countries, Iraq and Yemen, and the main business people were Indians. There was a lot of transaction going on. This was happening before Muhammad and Quran. The question is, have we got the Arabic language from India? She is asking, not necessarily so. Does Muhammad have ancestors from India? Nothing is written about him and his family in Quran or in history, except that they were business people. There is no specific story which mentions Muhammad or his wife traveling to India, but all their relationships were with Indian business people in these countries who were traveling to India, and it is possible that they might have traveled. Muhammad was 40 years old when he got the message and the revelation. No one knows what he was doing or going through in that 40 years, except for the general information that he was an orphan and lived with his uncles who were also business people. Who are his parents and grandparents and where they were living, where they were coming from, nothing is mentioned. It's very similar to Jesus actually.
Okay, yes.
There are stories also mentioned that Muhammad was asking his followers and relatives to use certain kinds of medicines called Indian herbs. The name Hind, which means India, was given to girls and was a very popular name in Mecca.
Okay.